I grew up in a small town in the Midwest. Like a lot of kids, my summers were spent outside riding bikes and generally being bored. I was a pretty shy and quiet kid, but surprisingly, it wasn't a huge detriment to me making friends. As in a small town Midwest, kids really had no choice but to know all the other kids. That being said, if my parents let me, I would usually stay inside and play video games. All I had as a kid was an N64 with a few games, my favorite being Star Fox 64. Which, by the way, can we just appreciate how cool the number 64 is? It just adds so much panache to a game title. Anyways, a lot of summers I would spend at my cousin's. One, because I would beg to go because I loved hanging out with my cousins. Two, it was an easy solution for someone to watch me as my parents always worked a lot. My cousins, specifically Daniel, are the biggest influence when I love in video games. Any game my cousin was playing, I loved. GoldenEye, Zelda, Resident Evil, Fable, Smash Bros, Pokemon. But the most important game he introduced to me was Halo. In the summer of 2002, my cousin Daniel showed me Halo Combat Evolved, and it blew my 10-year-old brain out the back of my head. As it did for many, because that game at the time for an FPS on console was groundbreaking. That summer, I didn't spend long with Daniel. My stepdad picked me up, and Halo was all I talked about, which was surprising for my stepdad, as I was still a really quiet kid. Now, I grew up pretty poor. I only really had an N64, and getting a new game didn't really happen. That year, my mother had appendicitis that she nearly died from, but she survived, and after some time in the hospital, she came home. My stepdad worked 80-hour weeks cutting concrete, so he didn't have the time nor the energy to look after my mother, so I took the responsibility. And because of this, my stepdad wanted to show me that he and my mom appreciated what I did. So for Christmas in 2002, my stepdad, Mike, bought me an Xbox and Halo Combat Evolved. And my dad gave me a TV for my room so that I can play whenever I wanted without using the family TV. And that's all I did was play Halo. Countless days playing campaign mode, exploring every inch of every level, making up challenges and seeing where I could get a warthog. And on nights I was lucky, Mike would get home early from work, had me hook up the Xbox out in the living room, and we would play co-op in the campaign. The next year I started middle school, and I was still a shy kid, nervous about being around kids I never knew before and being around teenagers. But the sixth grade is where I met Justin, who was one of my best and closest friends. I'm not sure how we got on the subject of Halo, but once we did, we became fast friends. And after some time, I worked up the courage to ask him if I could come to his house and play Halo with him. And because of that, and because of Halo, I made my first friend. And that's how I. And because of Halo, I made one of my closest lifelong friends I've ever had. And Justin wasn't just the first friend I made because of Halo. I made many others. We had LAN parties. We would carry 100-pound CRTs to each other's houses. We gambled on snow days so we could play Halo together in the middle of the week. Nearly every important close friend I have, I made because of Halo. All because my second dad, Mike, bought it for me for Christmas to teach me caring for someone and service to those you care about does not go unnoticed or unawarded. Mike recently died. Me and Mike had a very rocky relationship. I have as many bad memories of him as I do good ones. But he made me the man I am today, and I have the best friends a person could ask for because of him. I never really thought about how important Halo is to my life and how it shaped it, or how much Mike influenced my path until he passed away. I'm not sure what the message of this video is. Maybe it's games matter more than you think, or forgive those that love you because they'll be gone one day. Thank you, Pops. You did your best for me.